Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. How are you? Baruch Hashem. We are starting tonight's class. I'm going to be very honest with you. First of all, thank God all the technology seems to be working. I spent time preparing a class on Kiddush. And as I was preparing, I'm looking, I'm reading, I'm discovering more insight. And then, when you're not feeling it in your heart, I felt my heart pulling me in a different direction. That's why I wrote in the message I sent out. Tonight is not meant, although I provided a nightly class, and this will be a class. This will be intellectually stimulating and educational as well. This is really meant to be a virtual connection with all of you, my friends that I would wish to be together with, that I wish I could be visiting in person. So, as every night this week, it's not just a class, it's bonding together. And so tonight, I want to share a class, but what's coming from my heart. And I'm going to begin with a story, a personal story. It's a personal story that happened to me several years ago when I was still a young man, before I got married, when I was young and reckless and perhaps even a little bit wild and dangerous. It happened to me when I was a yeshiva student in India. It's an interesting story. I'll share it with you and then I'll tell you why I'm sharing it. In Chabad, there is something called Merkaz Shlichus, which is basically where for the summer, instead of getting paid to go get a job and working somewhere, instead you have young, soon-to-be rabbis who volunteer their time, who volunteer their services to go to communities that are too small to have a permanent full-time presence of a full-time rabbi. And young rabbis, like I did, travel to the most forsaken middle of Yehupitz, nowhere places. And there we visit literally one by one the Jews that are there and uplift them and inspire them, etc. Of course, some places are more exciting than others. I was studying in the year before I went to get my smicha. I was an assistant in the yeshiva in Johannesburg, South Africa. I went to South Africa on what's called shlichus. It's similar to a year of internship, where I was there to intern and to help the younger yeshiva students that were studying in the yeshiva. And that year, I was together with a cousin of mine. His name is Yossi Gansberg. He's my second cousin. He lives in Montreal. His father, Berg, is a diamond merchant and sells special stones in Montreal. And his father actually traveled on a regular basis to India on business. And he had connections with the Chabad rabbi in Mumbai, India, Rabbi Gabi Holtzberg, Hashem Yinkim, Dam of God shed avenge his blood. Very, very special person. And through his connections, we actually got to be the ones who were chosen to go for a summer to India. We're not going to Mumbai. We're going to the city of Bangalore. Bangalore at that time, this is in the summer of 2007. Summer of 2006. Summer of 2006, Bangalore did not have, the only full-time rabbi was Rabbi Holtzberg in Mumbai. There were several part-time in Goa and in Pune. And he knew that there were some Jews that were living in in Bangalore. Bangalore is like the fastest growing city called the Silicon Valley of the East. And so we went there with a list of 3 names. Some Jews from Kippur, a Jew he knew there. And by the time we were done, we left with 30 names. So I have some very interesting stories at that time. I'm not going to talk about the time that I spent almost a full month living in a hotel with me and my cousin out of our suitcase, and the luxuries of having a toilet seat and of having air conditioning in your room, and being mistaken for an Arab, being mistaken for, all different stories we had. But I want to tell you the story that happened the day after we arrived. So we flew into Mumbai because there was no international airport in Bangalore at the time. You had to fly in. We came on a Thursday night. The plan was we were going to spend Shabbat in Mumbai together with Rabbi Gabi Mifki Holtzberg. They said God should avenge our blood and they should be a blessing for us up on high. Special people. I had an experience with them on Shabbos I'm not going to share tonight, but special. And then Sunday morning we flew. It's like a 2.5-hour flight, probably as far from here to New York. We flew from Mumbai on our own to Bangalore, and that's where we were for just under a full month. like 28 days, I believe we were there, 27 days, long as the maximum we could be on our visa. And we were there. And then we flew out of Delhi, spent one day in Delhi and back to America. We came from South Africa. We hadn't even gone home. I hadn't been home in a full year. I hadn't been home since the high holidays before. We flew in very late Thursday night. We landed like 1 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning. The experiences of India are very, very interesting. The smells at that time, the international airport in Mumbai, the capital of India, had a conveyor belt that was just like one little strip that just dumped suitcases onto the floor. Didn't go around, just dumped stuff out. Everyone climbs over everybody, and the smells were literally overwhelming, and not in a positive way. It was, big fan. There was no air conditioning in the terminal. There were fans blowing. Come outside, people are literally trying to grab you into their taxis. Yossi, my cousin, actually was surprised. His father decided to fly on the business trip, and surprised his son out telling his son that he would be there. We were flying from South Africa, because that's where we were in yeshiva together. And he surprised him, and he met him Friday morning. His father, so when we came to the Chabad house Thursday night, his father was waiting for us. It was very nice. Anyway, we stayed Thursday night in the Chabad house. We slept on mattresses there somewhere in the building. Now the Nariman house was attacked by terrorists a year and a half later. Friday, we actually went around with Rabbi Holtzberg to the hostels and to all the little cheap places where the Israeli backpackers sleep for a few dollars a night, inviting them for Shabbat to his home for Friday dinner. Every Friday, he would go around to all the areas where the Israelis would hang out, inviting them over for a free Shabbat dinner. And then Friday afternoon, after we had gone to the mikveh with him and all that, we took our suitcases and we were going to be staying in the Taj Mahal Hotel for Shabbat. Taj Mahal Hotel is a beautiful hotel. It's a 5-star hotel. My cousin's father arranged it for us because that's where he was staying, so we were going to stay with him. And the Chabad house didn't have space for us to stay for Shabbat. There was, I don't know any stories, but it was full of other guests who were coming for Shabbos. So we were staying with Yassi's father in the hotel. It was like a 7-minute walk, very close to where the Chabad house is, the Taj Mahal Hotel, which was also attacked by the terrorists during the famous terrorist attacks in 2000, November. We take all of our suitcases. Now, I want to tell you that everything that I ate for a month came with us in suitcases from South Africa. I never enjoyed sardines before in my life. From then, I've learned to like sardines because tuna, although I like tuna is very hard to pack. They're round, they take up space. Sardines are the best thing to pack. They take up a little space. I ate the jarred gefilte fish and matzah and melba toast and everything we ate for a month was in our suitcases. Plus we had fill-in and we had books with us and so you can imagine, we had a lot of stuff. We didn't have enough suitcases. We were yeshiva, we had like boxes and crates, don't ask. And then, so we get into the taxi, and we tell the taxi driver, Taj Mahal Hotel. Now, it's not that far of a drive. It's walking distance. So how far could it be? Driving, and we're driving, and we're driving. Now, it's Friday afternoon. Shabbat is coming soon. We weren't even sure exactly the time. We kind of knew. We did not have a phone with us. We were going to get one on Sunday. We had Yassi, and I kind of had a little bit of some Indian money, basically no money on us. I didn't have any money at all. And we had some money for the taxi. His father gave him like 50 rupee or something, not a lot. And the taxi was only supposed to be, I think maybe the taxi was supposed to be like 50 rupee. Short 5-minute taxi drive. So we have like 10 minutes in the taxi. So we're talking to each other. He's trying to give us a tour of the city and charge us more. I'll never forget. And Yassi's telling the guy, 50 rupee, no more. You're not getting more. Don't try and take us on tour. Don't rip us off. We're not paying more. And yeah. The Indians are very nice people. I love Indian people. They're the warmest people, the nicest people. Like they try and talk to you, but the communication was hard. He's like, yeah, I know where you're going. Anyway, we're driving, and I remember there was actually a bus in front of us with a advertisement for some concert or some show in the Taj Mahal Hotel. And yesterday, like pointing at the bus, Taj Mahal Hotel. You see the advertisement, Taj Mahal Hotel. And he's yeah. It's not good. It's getting dark. It's almost Shabbos. Finally, after a half hour of driving, he brings us to the hotel. Now, we didn't know what the Taj Mahal Hotel looks like. We get out of the car, and he parks on the other side of the street. And I don't to describe what traffic is like in Mumbai, India. There is no words that I could use to describe traffic in Mumbai. You have to Google it after this class is done. Go on YouTube if you're bored. Google traffic in India or whatever. It's crazy. It's literally crazy. The American mind can't fathom what the roads look like there. And by the way, as a side note, I think every American should travel and see the world a little and, broaden your horizon. Side note. So we get out of the thing. We're unloading boxes. And all of a sudden, we realize it's not the Taj Mahal Hotel. It's the Taj Hotel, a different hotel. On the other side of Mumbai, a half-hour drive away from the Chabad house. It's Friday afternoon. We left the Chabad house, I don't know, a half hour before Shabbos for a 5-minute drive. We're going to bring our stuff there and we'll walk back to the Chabad house. And now it's almost sunset, almost Friday night. We're stuck in the city with no money, no cell phone. We don't know anybody or enemy. We know who the rabbi is. We don't know. And we start to scream at the driver, Taj Mahal, look, we're in the wrong place. So I remember we're loading in the car. We had unloaded the car. We're in the middle of traffic. Again, the words can't describe this scene. And the taxi driver is trying to get a box out of the trunk, back into the trunk with Yossi. And I'm standing by the front door of the passenger side, which is what will be the driver's side in America, the opposite side of the street. And I see a bus come. I'm standing right next to it. I see a bus come, hits the door of the taxi. So if I'm standing here, the door is here. The bus comes up. Buses don't drive very fast. They're loaded. It's very, very normal to see people literally hanging out of the doors and windows of the buses. It's normal. This bus comes, hits the side door of the taxi, and I watch as the whole entire door of the taxi goes until the door of the taxi is flush against the wall of the car. So now, this is the car, the door is flush against it. I take the door, it's still attached, sold the taxi. I pull it all the way back to closed. And it didn't fall off the hinges, but it was a little dislocated. And the door wouldn't close, but it was attached. We were so nervous. We were so worried about being stranded alone in a city, like Mumbai, India, for Shabbos, not knowing where to go with all of our stuff and all of our food and what would we do. That I didn't even tell the taxi. He didn't notice. The noise is deafening. So in America, car accident happens, you hear the noise. How could you be standing next to a bus hitting a car door and not hear it? But there it's so noisy, you don't even hear it. I pull the door shut. I'm sitting, I get back into the front seat on the passenger side, and I'm holding the door shut. My jacket is over my arm so you won't see. And I'm holding the door shut, praying for my life, hoping and praying that this door won't fall off as we're driving to the Taj Mahal Hotel near the Chabad. We're driving. The driver does not know that the door is broken. All of a sudden, 15 minutes into the drive, it's getting dark outside. It's almost Shabbat. All of a sudden, the taxi driver pulls over, and he says, "Stop!" And this in the middle of nowhere, it's in the middle of a random street, definitely not any hotel, not even a different hotel, middle of some random side street. And we start screaming, "Taj!" My cousin was cursing away, "Taj Mahal Hotel, Taj Hotel." We were in a panic. And the guy gets out and says, my door. And he's looking at the door and the light is coming through the door. When the door's not closed all the way, it's a crack. I'm holding it shut for dear life. I'm holding it shut all my life. A, I shouldn't fall out the car. And B, should have noticed the door is off. In the meantime, immediately a swarm of people gather around the car. And they're looking at the car and everyone's babbling away. We don't know what the heck's going on. And we say, we'll fix it. We'll pay for it. Just go. He gets back in the car and we're going. And we finally pulled up to the Taj Mahal Hotel. It was the last second before Shabbat. It's literally Shabbat. We start pulling this stuff out. They didn't even believe we're staying in the hotel. Now we come with a broken taxi and boxes and crates in the fancy hotel. Whatever. We got to our room. It was for sure after. Whatever. It was Shabbat. We got there. We were safe. In the meantime, his father had already walked to the Chabad house, and the rabbi said, "What do you mean they went to the hotel?" He said, "What do you mean they never came to the hotel?" So they came back to find us. Thank God by that time we were already there before they called the police. And that's the story. It's one of those memories that I will never for my life forget. Sitting in a taxi. The door is broken. The door is literally broken. It was just hit by a bus. And your adrenaline is running. You're holding the door. I'm holding. The door is shut. I don't even know if Yossi knew the door was, I don't know if I told him even. I'm holding it shut. Just drive. Forget about the fact that your car was just hit by a bus. And the feeling of praying, just get us to the hotel before Shabbos. We shouldn't be stranded in the city for Shabbos. And Again, we had no phone. We had no way of communication. We didn't know an address even. Why do I share this story? First of all, it's a good story. It's a memorable story. We talk about crazy times. We're living in crazy times today. To remember the good old times, when we were young and crazy, doing crazy things, running around India. But I share this story because I want to talk tonight about Shabbos. I want to talk about Kiddush. I want to talk about Shabbos. See, originally, I'm going to actually combine two concepts tonight. The plan, and as you already know by now, if you're alive in this week, and plans and God laughs, because my plan actually was to be getting ready for Shabbat at the Kotel right now in the Western Wall of Jerusalem. But I'm here because that's man plans and God laughs. So my plan was to go to the Seder of Passover and to talk about the Kiddush. But I want to talk not only Kiddush of Pesach, but the Kiddush of Shabbat and the Kiddush of our lives. With all these comments, I hope you can hear me properly. Hello, everybody that's watching. I want to tell you a secret. I want to tell you a secret, two secrets actually. The first secret is going to be, I want to tell you now a sneak preview of what tomorrow's email will be. Every week I write an email. I spend writing an email, a message to the community, to you, all of you. I'll tell you now already what I'm going to, the concept of what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, but I'm going to do it much more from the heart and much more in depth, and we'll discuss it together. Which is as follows. This Shabbos will be the first time that the world is keeping Shabbat. The whole world is shutting down. The whole world is shutting down. There'll be no malls. I understand that all the Simon malls in America are shut, and Macy's is shut, and the sports stadiums are shut, and most of the businesses are shut, and a lot of the gyms are shut, and there's nowhere to go, nothing to do. In Israel, that has been one of the big fights in Israel is the public buses being open on Shabbos, public transportation being closed on Shabbos, and if you follow Israeli politics, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This Shabbos, there's no public transportation in Israel. Everything is shutting down. It's crazy, amazing times. And I am going to suggest something crazy. I'll tell you right now, suggest something crazy, something that I would never suggest in normal times, but hey, it's not normal times. And that is, I want you to think about the possibility of maybe this Shabbat making a commitment to keep Shabbat. And if you do that, I'm going to tell you what my commitment is soon. But let me first explain to you what I mean. The primary mitzvah of keeping Shabbat is to be home and to be connected to God in the sanctified way. To be sanctified means not to be doing any kind of creative work. Not to be doing anything that creates something new. When Shabbat comes in, it's considered as if all the work that has to be done in the world is done. It says that when we make on Shabbat, on the seventh day, everything is done. So that God created to be done, everything is done. Everything is done. On Sunday, there's more work to do. But in your mind, mentally, when Shabbat comes in, it's as if there's nothing to do. In normal times, you say, normal step by step, but today's not normal times. The world is on shutdown. The world is on shutdown. And if the world is on shutdown, there must be a spiritual reason why the world's on shutdown. There must be a spiritual good thing, a positive transformation in our lives that can come from this shutdown of the universe. And so I am going to share with you now an amazing historical fact that's black and white in the Bible. I'm sure that many of you have read it but never really paid attention to it. It's connected to Passover. And I'm going to bring it back to this crazy idea that I'm suggesting to you that this Friday night, from when Shabbat begins, from when candle lighting is, and I forgot to check before, check right now, or someone can post on Facebook, what time is Shabbat candle lighting time? I have a calendar right here. To keep the entire Shabbat, to not turn on your phones. Let me explain it. From when Shabbat comes in, which is going to be at 7:15 in Coral Springs, 8:07 on Saturday night, the world is done. Everything is done. Nothing is going to happen from 7:15 on Saturday night to 8:00 on Friday night to 8:05. Not going to be any new disasters. The stock market won't crash anymore over Shabbat. The world will still be standing. The number of coronavirus cases will be the same, whatever. Imagine 25 hours, turn off all the stress of the world. For 25 hours, turn off all the distraction, all the noise. Do you know how relaxing last Shabbat was for me? So stressful last week. Up until Friday when Shabbat came, because last Friday, a lot of shows were closing. Friday afternoon, many of the shows in South Florida were closing. I'm watching 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. It was crazy. There was pressure on both sides. And then Shabbat comes. I turned my phone off. I went to shul. I had guests Friday night. The world was calm. The world was calm. Saturday night, I didn't want to turn the phone back on. Imagine a weekend. Leave your lights on or off, whatever you want. Prepare what books you'll read. Prepare what you'll do for relaxation with your family, with your friends. And just tell the world, today, it's me and God. And before you think that what I'm saying is crazy, before you think, Rabbi, you're absolutely nuts. I'm normal. I'm not going to keep Shabbat. 2 weeks ago, you never would imagine that you would sit home all week with your kids. 2 weeks ago, you wouldn't imagine anything that's happening in the world today. So if we're living in such easy time and we're doing things that we never, ever would have imagined, that we're sitting at home all day in self-quarantine, or even if you're going to work, and even if you're doing work from home, but we have never, ever lived in before. So crazy times call for crazy measures. Go for it. It's not a lifetime commitment. It's a one-time deal. Make a one-time commitment to yourself to make Kiddush Friday night, and not just to make Kiddush, but to say I'm keeping Shabbat. That's going to be my request and my idea to you. I'm jumping ahead of myself. I want to start from the beginning. I want to talk about the very first time in history that there were Jews that were quarantined at home. I want to talk about how that's so important for us in our lives and the message for us. Does anyone watching me right now know when was the first time in history that Jews were quarantined? I'll give you a hint. It was not when there was a chlorea breakout. Someone was asking if they had a long conversation with someone on the phone. I had a lot of conversations on the phone. Feel free to call me, by the way. If you want to talk, that's half what I do all day, just sitting and talking. Each conversation takes 20 minutes, but talking to someone who wanted to know about precedent in Jewish law and when this ever happened before the Jews were quarantined not to go to shul. There have been instances, Rabbi Akiva Eger has been the halachic responses during the time of the chlorea breakout. But before any illness, in fact, before any shuls were created, in fact, before the Torah at Mount Sinai, do you know when the time was Jews were quarantined? I'll tell you right now. The first Pesach of history. If you remember, ago we talked about the matzah that was ate Egypt before the Exodus, before the death of the firstborn, before God took us out of Egypt. God told the Jewish people, God came to Moshe and said to Moshe, tell the Jews that on the 14th of the month, they should slaughter the Pesach offering, the sheep, and they should sit in their homes. They should take the blood of the doorposts, put it over take the blood, put it over their doorposts. I'm reading to you one verse. This is from the book of Shemos, chapter 12, the Parsha of Bo, chapter 12, verse 22. Verse 22. God tells Moshe, tells the Jewish people, Yikra Moshe, and Moshe called all the elders of the Jews, and he said, take for yourself a sheep, slaughter the Pesach offering. You shall take a bunch of hyssop and immerse it in blood that is in the basin, that is in the bowl that you've collected from the Pesach offering. Touch the lintel and the two doorposts with the blood that is in the basin. Vatem loitetsu, and you shall not ish mi Pesach base no man from the doorway of his house ad boiker until the morning. Black and white in the Torah, 12 verse 22. God tells Moshe to tell the Jews that you should be quarantined in your home. Do not leave your home. Blood with a hyssop, put it on the two doorposts, on the lintel, and from the moment you put the blood, if you want to be protected from the angel of death that will be to Egypt to kill all the Egyptian firstborns, make sure you do not walk out of your doorpost, out of your house until the morning. First time in history, the Jews are quarantined. God will skip over those doorposts, etc. It's really interesting that the very first Pesach Seder, in fact, the very first thing that the Jewish people ever do as a nation, the first mitzvah that we do, the first time that we ever do something Jewish, it's in a state of quarantine in our own homes. Isn't that amazing? We're living in a time where many of us will be quarantined for Pesach. Hopefully not because we have anyone sick in our home, but we'll be socially distancing. We'll have elderly people. I have some plans to still not be quarantined. Other people for Pesach, but I'm not. Nothing is final yet. But many of us will be spending Pesach quarantined in our homes without the usual guests, so that where we usually go. The first time that the Jewish people ever did something Jewish was in the state of quarantine. In a state where they were inside their homes and couldn't go out till the morning. What does that tell us? What message do you take from the idea that the Jews will quarantine to do the Pesach offering? And so, for some reason, I'm not getting any messages. The answer is, in Judaism, the real whole of Judaism is specific in the home. The real holiness of Judaism is not about the shul. The real holiness, the real Jewish thing to do is to sit in your home and to be Jewish in your home. To make a Jewish home. And God says, I will make for me a sanctuary as well, and them could include every single Jewish home is a home where God says, I will dwell over there. So I want to explain to you now my take on this. What is the Pesach Seder happening for the Jewish people in Egypt? The Jews were slaves in Egypt. They were slaves. Not only were they physically slaves, they were mentally and emotionally, psychologically in a very, very deep state of slavery. For 210 years, they've been living in Egypt as slaves. For 80 years, they had been actually suffering bondage. The majority of Jews had grown up. The 80-year-olds had already been born as slaves. And it's explained in many places, the psychological torture that the Egyptians did to the Jews, much like what the Nazis did in the Holocaust. So they didn't just kill the Jews, they dehumanized the Jews. They turned the Jews into this lower class of existence, that it was almost morally right to kill Jews. Is very similar to what happened with the Egyptians, where they psychologically destroyed the morale of the Jews to allow the Jews to be treated the way they were. And the Jews were in a state of bondage. Hard time listening to Moshe. They had a hard time believing that they were going to be redeemed from Egypt. So God says, you want to experience the revelation of midnight, minutes ago? You want to experience my divine revelation to free you, where I will make you my nation, where I will take you out of Egypt and give you the Torah and make you mine? You got to quarantine from Egypt. The first step is cut yourself off from the Egyptian society, from the Egyptian culture, from the Egyptian mindset. Go into your homes, sit with your wife and your kids, all alone. There you should have a Pesach. There you should eat matzah. There you should eat maror. There you should talk about your God. And when you can do that, then you will be ready for redemption. If you think about all of the many, many holy mitzvot in Judaism, if you think, hello everyone that's watching, thank you for all the comments. There's many, many comments. Thank you for all of you that are writing. If you think about the holiest mitzvot in Judaism, what do you think about the holiest mitzvot? Someone can post a comment. What do you think is the holiest mitzvot? Anyone want to share with us? If you think about these mitzvot, they're not things that require a synagogue. For example, keeping kosher. It's true that you don't need to be home to keep kosher. You can go to a kosher restaurant. But primarily, keeping kosher happens in your home. So that's where you eat. Education, teaching our children, primarily happens in home. Despite what people think today that you send your kids to school to be educated, real education starts when the baby is born, even before they're old enough to go to school. And real education is what happens in the home, in between school and after school, and when there's no school, etc., etc. There's a great meme going around that if the people who are homeschooling their kids at home, if you see me to my so are in the home. A law that if you go to city, there's no kosher shul, there's no kosher grocery, there's no kosher schools, there's no anything. What's the first thing that you need to spend money on? Thing that the city, the community should build before they write a kosher Torah scroll, before they build a grocery, before they build a kosher Chinese restaurant, before they do any of that, the first thing they need to build is a mikvah. What's a mikvah? A mikvah is a place where a woman can go to become sanctified, to become ritually pure, so when she comes home, her husband, to be intimate with her husband, to create the next generation. When she comes to create the new generation, she's in a state of purity. In Judaism, more important than the shul, more important than the school, more important than the rabbi's office, is that there should be a mikvah to allow a woman to become ritually purified, to be able to go home and to be intimate with her husband in a state of purity. And the holiest thing in the home is actually the bedroom. That's another discussion out for tonight. The different rooms in the home are like the different areas of the temple. And the holy of holies is the bedroom, because the most sanctified thing that a person can do is to be intimate with their spouse in a holy, proper, sanctified way to create a new generation. But that's not the point of tonight's class. My point is that whoever thinks that you need to go to shul to be holy, I'd be very blunt, whoever thinks that you need to go to shul in order to be holy has bought into some Christian form of Judaism. A strong statement to make, I know. In traditional Judaism, this is not from going to shul. And in fact, for many hundreds of, which was only built after the Jews came to Israel. There were no shuls. There were no, there were teachers, there were rabbis. Teach from the shais or the tithes. And that's how they were inspired of the Jews, by going to the homes of the Jews. That they went, that they office, like I'm saying, I said, come pay membership dues. See our beautiful thing, my beautiful sermons. Rabbis' homes. And when the temple was destroyed, we didn't have shuls. Eventually, they built shuls to keep the Jewish community together. It's only a Judaism that's built on trying to imitate other religions. Or in other religions that are very much about central control and power, the other religions need to have, central control, to be very honest. So therefore they made, in order to be holy, you need to come to Judaism. If you look at all the important mitzvot, all the mitzvot that none of them require, you can pray at home. Now, obviously, it's better to pray in the holy in the shul. Person can pray at home, and the person can give charity at home. Person can study Torah at home. Person can keep kosher at home. Person can keep Shabbat at home. Every single mitzvah can be done at home. And the Rebbe and many of his campaigns and his good deed campaigns always connected it to doing something in the home. So lighting candles, you light candles in your home where you're going to eat. Charity, which is not intrinsically about the home. The Rebbe encouraged that every room, the home should have a pushka. My home, every one of my kids' bedrooms has a pushka. Their room is a charity home. The holiest in Judaism is the home. However, what happened became we started to think like Americans, and we started to believe it's all about the shul, and I devoted my entire building up in a shul and creating a community that was built around the shul. And guess what happened? God has said it's time to remind the Jewish people that in order to be holy, you don't need to go to shul. In order to be holy, you don't need to go somewhere. In order to be holy, you can put on your doorpost and quarantine your home. You can be quarantined inside your home, but you're holy. You know why? Because you're doing what you've cut yourself off from the rest of the noise and you've allowed your inner self to be revealed. Vivian wants to know more about Shabbat. I'm going to explain. I want to talk from the heart. The joke going around, the one of the many that I'm on, that normally there's always these conversation where the rabbi in the field, all the Chabad emissaries are giving classes, things, that the rabbi lead a class on how to do a home without guests. The rabbi of a shul. I'm thinking of the sermon I'm going to give and the Torah reading that I need to prepare and which people are coming to shul. I don't know when the last time is that I've said I'm in that position where I say I'm going to be separated. It's not about my job as a rabbi, not at all. It's about me connecting, me disconnecting from everything else, and by connecting to Shabbat, by finding my true identity. Allow slavery, and God says before you can go out of slavery, first go into your home. Before you can go out, before I can free, first go in. Quarantine yourself in your home. Don't go out of the doorway. Separated from society, then able to. Same thing with earlier. The person is full of themselves, they can't accept it. Now, this begins with Shabbat, with Kiddush. Soon about keeping the Shabbat structure in general, but the word Kiddush actually has the internet is going on throughout the universe. Buffering on YouTube world. Someone already predicted that the internet will come down soon, but God willing, God forbid, we'll be in trouble. So we're watching. What is the word? What is the word Kiddush? You know? The word Kiddush actually has two meanings. Let me say what Kiddush is. Explain to me. So I want to first give the body and then the soul. Kiddush is the blessing we make on the sixth day. God rested. Parenthetically, those first four words, Yom, Ishi, Vayechulu Hashemayim, the first letter of the word, spelled the letters Yud K of K, which is the name of God. That first paragraph is 35 words from is describing how God rested on the day of Shabbat, mitzvah, and they are able to connect God through making Kiddush. And the third blessing, instead of being a blessing for giving us the opportunity to keep Shabbat, is a blessing for giving us the opportunity to. That's what Kiddush is. It's a sanctification. We sit with a wine or stand with a wine rather, and we say today is now. But what does the word Kiddush mean? It has two meanings. Sanctify, to make holy. Kodesh means holy. But when you're making Kiddush, how do you, what it was not allowed to be used for any other purpose of use in the temple. Kiddush on Friday night means to state. Kiddush on Friday is separation, to separate, to divide between which is holy and that which is unholy. Holy versus unholy. In order to make Kiddush, in order to become holy, in order to become one with God, first, you have to become disconnected from otherness. You need to turn off your cell phone. You need to turn off your cell phone. You need to turn off the TV. You need to turn on the world. And as long as the cell phone is on, but it's sitting over there, I'll tell you something. This cell phone is very distracting for me. I come home, even I put it over there because my wife gave me I put it there, my brain is still thinking, even though it's not next to me, I'm not actually. But when you turn it off, not when you're not looking at it, when you know that it's off and you know that it's not going back on anytime soon, you've just taken off the human leash. You know, I heard a great description. This is a human leash. Dogs have a leash, human control. This is a human leash. It's just our brains are pulled by it. Turn it off. When you turn it off, you're able to be separated from the world. And when you're separated, when you're mukdash, when you're separated from the world, now you can be kodesh. Now you can be holy to God. The word kiddush in the context of marriage is the exact same two parts of what I just explained regarding Friday night. Is the exact same thing regarding the kiddush in the marriage of a man and a woman. Number one, it's an act of issue. It's an act of connection. It's kiddushin. We're bound together. We're united. We're in love. We're one thing. But kiddushin also means separated. The moment that we get married, forbidden to the rest of the world. The moment that the man and the woman marry, that's it. No longer allowed to connect anybody else. So this is true for marriage, and this is true for Friday night Kiddush, and this is true for the Jewish people sitting in Egypt waiting for the Exodus. If you want to experience Exodus, if you want to experience emotional Exodus from the stress, from the anxiety, from the panic, from the fear-mongering of today, of all the media and all the government officials and all the doctors, everyone that's trying to stay should. But if you want to escape the anxiety, all you need to do, Kodesh, become holy to God. Have holy to God by turning off the cell phone, by turning off the TV, by turning off the distraction, by your car, telling the world, by turning off the TV, by turning off the distraction, by your car, telling the world for the next 25 hours. The story just popped into my head. It's a great story. There is a very, very well-known lawyer. His name is, I've heard the story from him. He has been a lawyer. I think his name is Snoop. I might be wrong. I don't from memory. Someone will correct me if I got it wrong. Snoop Doggy, something like that. And this guy, Snoop Doggy, I don't even know his real name. He's obviously he's a very, very influential person, but he's a very demanding boss. He's a very demanding boss. He hired this guy, Mr. Brofman. He said to him, I'll pay you whatever you want. I had an issue. I heard that you're the lawyer there is, and I want to hire you, but I have only one condition. Whatever works for me needs to, anytime I call you, Mr. Brofman tells me, I hope I'm saying his name right, tells him, deal 24. I am a religious, I am Shomer Shabbos. I don't answer my phone on Shabbos. 24 hours a day. Wednesday, Thursday, you have me. From Friday candlelighting until night, this week, from 24/7. Listen, I'll take the retainer, I'll do it, but that's my conditions. Anyway, Friday night, Roth from Shul makes Kiddush, he's about to Roth knows who biggest client, Doggy himself. He knows that he didn't have to see, but he knew. Anyway, the phone rang. I don't remember, sometimes over 1,000 times that night. I don't remember. It was either 1,000 times. And ringing and his name is Abdallah. The first thing he does, Makes another cup of wine. And says, it's not urgent. A very happy client. Thanks to you, I won a $10,000 bet. I made $10,000 last night thanks to you. So what happened? So I'm speaking, right? He doesn't answer my phone calls on Shabbat. And they tell me it's impossible. Impossible. Someone's not going to answer your phone call. You'll see. You'll see. This guy, he's for real. When he told me he's not going to answer my phone, he meant it. And they bet $10,000 that I would be able to get you to answer your phone. Mr. Baruch will answer the first weekend that I'm your client on Friday night. And we called, and we called, and we called. And true story. If you want to be holy to God, the first thing you need to do is quarantine yourself in your home. Quarantine yourself. Put up a big red blood post on the door. Put a big red sign there and say, sorry, this is a red line that I will not cross. Ad kan, we say. Up till here, we can talk about. Till here, we can go. This, that's it. Now it's Shabbat. The story I did before about me being in India lost, I wanted to show the perspective that I had. I was scared, We both were. We were about to be stranded with no money, no phone. When we had food, we weren't going to starve. We had enough food to last for a month, but we had nowhere else, so we didn't have a room to go. And yet it never once entered our mind that we would desecrate Shabbos. We were ready to get out of a taxi with all of our stuff and find a place to leave it and walk until we found the Chabad house. It once happened to me. I was a newlywed couple, and we just moved to Florida, our first summer here in Florida after we moved in the summer of 2008. It was Friday afternoon, and I was knocking on doors in Eagle Trays, giving out challahs. I did that first summer. I knocked on every single door in the whole entire. And, I couldn't stop. I was going, I had, 20 challahs, whatever, I was going out. I didn't want to stop until I finished. And get to some conversation. And we were going to be spending Shabbos in Boynton Beach by Hannah's sister, the right chicks, my dear brother-in-law. And I didn't know then yet so much about the traffic in Florida on Friday afternoon on the Turnpike. Even though I grew up in Florida, you don't really know what driving is like until you actually drive. And I'm pushing it off. I knew that Shabbos is time, whatever time it is. But it's more we'll finish just one block, just 2 more homes. That being a long conversation, we left very late. And then, of course, our mazel, there was an accident on the Turnpike. We were stuck on the Turnpike behind the exit to Atlantic, and I was sure that we were going to get stuck in. I called my brother-in-law. I found out where we would stay who was a shliach near the exit on Atlantic. The end, past the accident, I was flooring at 100. I got to the exit of the Turnpike on Boynton Beach Boulevard. My wife and I, she was pregnant, and we had food in the car for Shabbos that my wife had made. We parked right off the exit. When you get off the exit, we parked. We left our car by the exit. From the exit to my brother-in-law's home. We arrived sometime in the middle of the meal, but to desecrate Shabbos, we thought impossible. Impossible. So here's what I'm going to suggest to you, and here's what I'm going to do. Here's my commitment to you. This weekend, I'm not going to do what I'm normally doing. I'm not going to allow I always joke, people think I allowed to work on Shabbos, and I joke that I work hardest on Shabbos. For me, Shabbos is a day of work. This week, for me, personally, Shabbos is going to be my day of rest. This Shabbos is going to be a day of rest. I'm not going to work. I'm going to turn off all distraction in my life. Because for me, distraction, not only the cell phones, when you go to shul and you want to worry who's here, who came, who didn't come, who has to get an aliyah, who has to get this, no distraction. And I am going to be focused, not just on spending time with my kids, which I do every Shabbos. This is a very important part of Shabbos, and this is something that I do. Since I grew up, I learned from my parents to listen to each and every one of my kids speak at the Shabbos table and share what they learned in school. And this week they're going to share what they learned in their virtual Zoom classrooms online. Tonight, I told them my kids today when we ate dinner tonight that they better prepare a beautiful thought to share by the Shabbos table. And when I was here, my wife told me that my son, Zalman, was listening to a class that was online. He was listening and taking notes to prepare his Torah for the Shabbos table. So I'll be listening to my kids. I do that all the time. That won't be unique to this week. What will be unique to this week is I'm going to listen to myself. I'm going to allow myself to be disconnected from the world completely. And I'm going to allow myself to be connected to Shabbos. I want to see from the world completely. I'm going to allow myself to be connected to Shabbos. I want to suggest to you, my dear friends, to do this Shabbos. First of all, at the bare minimum, Friday night, light Shabbat candles. 7:15 is candle lighting time. At 7:15, you're home anyway now. No one's not going to be home at 7:15, even if you're working, etc. By 7:15, the restaurants are not having people sitting down to eat. Every single person not watching this, I imagine, if not everyone, 99% of you will be home tomorrow night by 7:15. At 7:15 tomorrow night, if not earlier, make sure that you have lit Shabbat candles. But when you light Shabbat candles, don't just light the candles. Turn off every electric device in your home, unless you're planning on leaving it on the whole entire Shabbat. Turn it off. Turn it off. The internet can't handle it anyway. The internet's getting a little bit too much use. Turn it all off. Be with your spouse. Be with your kids. Be with your soul. Be with your soul. Just turn it off. Let the light of Shabbat come into your home. And if you're really brave, and if you're ready to do something that you've never done before, like I'm going to do this week, I'm going to try and experience something I've never done before, make the commitment now that for 1 week, it's a 1 week deal. It's not a lifelong commitment. You don't have to ever do it again. But it can't be worse than being home all week with the kids anyway. Try it. Make a commitment to have one Shabbat where you unplug. One Shabbat that you're not going to get into your car all Shabbat. One Shabbat, you're not going to touch your car. You're not going to touch your phone. Whatever lights in your home you're going to use, leave them on from before Shabbat. The electric will be okay. You're saving on your TV, you'll make up in there, and you're going to leave the bathroom light on the whole Shabbat. You're not going to turn it off. You'll leave your dining room light on, or you'll have a timer. You'll leave the hallway light on, or you'll leave it off, whatever you're going to do, and you leave it like that the whole Shabbat. One Shabbat, whatever you're going to eat on Shabbat, cook on Friday before. You can make your food Friday afternoon, make your chicken soup you're going to eat. Prepare your menu Saturday already on Friday. From 7:15 tomorrow night, Saturday already on Friday. From 7:15 tomorrow night until 8:05 Saturday evening, when you make Havdalah, you are going to be gods. You're going to be gods. You're going to try it. Try it. I ask you a favor. If you're going to do it, share with me. I would love to hear. Let me share with you something very personal. See, if there would be any other time, in normal times, where Chabad will be making one Shabbat, which Chabad is doing this week, and we say, every Jew keeps Shabbat, that would include Jews going to Shul. And guess what? Going to Shul is not more important than keeping Shabbat. It's not the other way around. You don't need to go to Shul to keep Shabbat. You don't need the Torah reading to keep. You don't need to hear the rabbi's sermon to keep Shabbat. Although the rabbi's sermon is, of course, very, 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 very important, of course. But it's still not as important as keeping Shabbat. This weekend, don't go to Shul. Don't do anything. It's not what God will want you to do. From the moment it starts to the moment it ends, you're not going to drive. You're not going to use your phone. If you want, send out a message before. Tell your friends, this Shabbat, I'm unplugging. Nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. The world will stop doing. There's no translation. It says that if the Jews would keep just 2 Shabbats, well, Mashiach will come. The first time that every Jew kept Shabbat was when we received the Torah at Mount Sinai. And then already we messed it up. It never happened again. Now is our chance. Coming to the month of Nisan, month of redemption, time to make Kiddush, time for us to become God's chosen people once again. I have some things prepared on Kiddush. Not really. It's not the point. The point is, it's time to behold. Time. It's a time to say to God, thank you, Vivian, that you think the sermon is precious wisdom. It's absolutely crazy. Right? Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. The universe was focused eating this, and even if a natural disaster hit, there was a tsunami in Thailand, we were safe. There was a hurricane in Florida, then in California they were safe. There was a hurricane in Puerto Rico. There's never, ever, ever been a moment like this, ever, ever. Today, the entire world is on the same page. And so we have the power this Friday night to say to God, I'm all yours. I'm all yours. I'm cutting myself off from the world. I'm being Kodesh. I'm going to take a glass of wine. Just to tell you, wine, you can take any cup, or preferably a silver cup, something not visible. I'm going to sanctify the day. I'm going to sanctify my life. And I am going to tell God, I am yours. With just one mystical thought, and then maybe a beautiful story, that the words for wine is 70. Yeah, 70. There's 35 words in the first paragraph of the Kiddush. There's 35 words in the second paragraph of the Kiddush, which together is 70. The name of the cup, kos, in Hebrew is kaf, vav, samach. Kaf is 26. Each letter in Hebrew has a numerical value. The numerical value of the word cup is 86. 86 is the same numerical value as the word Elohim, which is the name of God, which is the same numerical value as the word Hateva, which means normally God is hidden in nature. Take the cup in our hand, like the Seder plate. It's a vessel, which is Malchus. We put the cup inside, and we receive the yayin, we receive the wine, which is the secrets of God. And we are able to transform the nature of the world to be revealing the secrets of the world, which is the idea of the wine. It's our special opportunity. It's our special time to be holy. This weekend, I will be connecting to my soul, to allow me to be one with God. And I'm asking you to try the same. I'm asking you to do the same. Please, try it. Try it. This Shabbat, turn it all off. If you can't do the whole Shabbat, and at least Friday night, experience it. You don't have to do it ever again. It's a one-time deal. Let's try and do something different to save the world. Because here, I want to go back to where I started. The first time that God told the Jews to do a mitzvah, he said, do it in your home. Shabbat is not going for dinner. It's not about going to synagogue. It's not about going out. It's about ish mi pesach beis letetzu abayker, that no man should go out from their home until the morning. Stay in your home. Be quarantined in your home. God will be quarantined with you. God does not have the coronavirus. God is not going to infect you with any illnesses, God forbid. In fact, the exact opposite is true. God is a God of healing, God of love. Bring him into your home, and he will protect us. He will bless us. He will sanctify us together with the entire world. That just like we know that Shabbat is the day that's holy for us in our lives in the day cycle, on the global, that's in the micro. In the macro level, in the global level, Shabbat is the day. Yom Shakula Shabbat is the millennia, I should say, of world peace. Shabbat is the day of personal peace, and the era, the millennia of Shabbat is a millennia of Mashiach, a millennia or the end of we're already the end of the sixth millennia of creation. We're almost on the end of the first 6,000 years of history and ready to enter the seventh millennia for the coming of Mashiach. May it come this Shabbos as we all light our candles this Friday night at 7:15. And we also with our families alone together, making Kiddush on a cup of wine, a cup of grape juice if you can't drink wine. We take our grape juice, we take our wine, and we say, thank you, God, Asher Kiddushanim b'mitzvosa, that you sanctified us with your commandments, and you elevated us to have this beautiful day of Shabbat. Baruch atah Hashem, blessed are you, Lord, for giving us this mitzvah. Thank you. May we be holy together, becoming a Mashiach, God willing, very, very soon. Thank you.